Good evening, and I'm your host, Shameika Rhymes, and welcome to Soulibration. Let me know where you are watching from and how you're doing this evening. And remember, if you have any questions tonight, drop it in the chat and share this with your network because you never know who may need something along these lines of this topic because I know you know somebody that's doing this. So let me tell you what we're talking about tonight. So this week on Celebration, we're talking about the growing trend of people turning to ChatGPT for therapy. Let me know if you've ever done that. I know I've asked ChatGPT some questions, but have you actually turned to it to vent about something, somebody? Let me know. So, we're going to talk about why it can be harmful to rely on artificial intelligence for mental health, the risk of replacing it with human connection, and the kind of misinformation it can spread. So, we're also going to look at accessibility and affordability, why some people feel that they don't have another option, and whether there are any limited benefits for those who can't afford therapy. So, most importantly, we're also going to dig into why the therapeutic relationship is so powerful and why true healing just honestly cannot come from ChatGPT, y'all. So I am excited about tonight's guest. He's an old friend. His name is John Burton Jr. He is a clinical faith-based therapist, and he has a private practice called A Talk with John Counseling and Consulting. Now, I know him from like marketing, PR. He's a writer. I have an amazing article hanging on my wall written by him about me, of course. But he's a jack of all trades. So let's bring on John.
Hello, hello, hello. How much do I have to pay you for that? That was probably one of the most phenomenal introductions I've ever received.
Just I'll give you my cash app later.
Oh, Cash App. That works. That works.
How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. It's just a pleasure to be here with you and the Celebration crew tonight. So I know some of y'all have been asking ChatGPT, if not ChatGPT, some of the other AI engines out there some questions. So let's jump on into it.
Yeah, so I'm going to ask you before we start.
Oh
Have
Lord.
you ever used it? What are you using ChatGPT or any of the other AI chatbots? What are you
Well,
using it for?
I'm gonna keep it straight 100. Yes, I have used ChatGPT and some of the others, but I've only used it more so to help with creativity. Sometimes, as a writer, you get writer's block, and you want to be
Yes.
able to know that you have said something correctly, or you need someone to proofread something, or just have another option. And sometimes there's a good story or an example that you want to be able to use, and sometimes it's during those times that
Mhm.
I'll use it. But to go and to use it for therapy? Probably not.
Now, John, you ain't never went on that. I'm good to whip out my phone like this person said this. How do I respond before I
No,
crash out?
actually, I have not. I mean, I've been pretty good, and you're pretty good too. I think you're probably second guessing yourself because I do know you. You know, told all the people that I know you. You're pretty good at having great responses. So no, I haven't used it for that. But I
Okay.
see how some people might. Some people aren't as boisterous, or some people aren't as um extroverted as we are, and so they may need that extra support or that level of confidence to know that they're saying the right thing. And so I've seen, people to use it for those particular reasons. But sometimes it's easy just to be able to rely on yourself to be able to answer those questions. And sometimes when you do it yourself, you gain that confidence even more.
Very true. Because I will say, I might say something, then I'll ask it, did I say this right?
How are you going to ask it after you asked it already?
Well, no. So I'll go ahead and say whatever I'm going to say. And then I'll go back and be like, this is what happened. This is what I said. Was I wrong?
No, that's not wrong at all. But it's good to have the level of confidence to know that there is, I wouldn't say a second check, but just to know that you did so with the right intent and in the right manner.
Okay. All right.
So I
All
don't
right.
fault you for that. I don't fault you for that at all.
Okay. All right. All right, chat. Y'all being quiet. I need to know the truth. Y'all don't leave me hanging out here like I'm the only one
Oh no,
talking
no,
to
we got
mine has a name, Chazzy Bell. So why do you think that people are starting to look to these AI apps as if it were a therapist?
I mean, there's so many reasons. Number one, I would say convenience. They are available 24 hours, 7 days a week. If you're awake at midnight, if you're awake at 3 a.m., if you're awake at 5 a.m., and you have that's you. I know it's you. And so And so if you are awake at that time, you can ask it anything that you want. A therapist like myself, we're not always available at that time unless it is literally a life or death emergency. And
Mhm.
so, and we're going to kind of do some querying and ask you what those things are that you're going through at that hour. But you have the ability to be able to go in and chat with literally a chat GPT or there's so many of them out there now. You have Claude, you have Gemini, you have
Mhm.
Plexi- Plexity or something it's called. And so there's so many out there and they're coming up with new ones all the time. But it's just that access, that accessibility that you're going to
Mhm.
be able to have. And so to be able to know that you can contact an alleged expert at any point in time, people love that accessibility. And it kind of breaks down the barriers. And you have the ability to ask them free of charge.
Unless you pay for the paid version like myself.
Unless you pay for the paid version. But most people, if they can pay for the paid version, they can also pay for therapy. Um,
Very true.
and so most of the time when you see people and they're using the those AI systems, is typically one of those free ones. And so
Mhm.
you're not necessarily going to get all the bells and whistles, but you're going to get exactly what you're able to need. But again, that cost is low cost or no cost to those individuals to be able to get that quote unquote expert opinion. It's great if you're trying to do research. It's great if you're trying
Yeah.
to find out information. But in order to be able to have something and to be able to respond in a way that's going to be helpful for your mental health,
Mhm.
I'm not sure about.
Yeah. So even with that, like going to it for information, you still have to double check it. So it's almost like, is it even telling you the right thing that you're asking for your mental health? Because I know I asked it something a couple weeks ago. It was something I was working on,
Hmm.
and it spit out some information that I knew wasn't correct. I knew it wasn't correct, and so I was like, "So I'm paying for something, and I still got to double check you."
Yeah,
You know?
because again, it's something that we feed. It's not something that we know that's going to be always correct. It's something that is fed. It's something that is fed by humans. And so whatever people put out there, sometimes it will pick up. We've all seen things on the internet where we know that it's not true. One of the previous presidents, his catchphrase was fake news, and we've all seen it. I remember I was victim to that one time. They had me in on Google one time, and they said that I was dead. I was like, oh no, 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 I'm not dead at all. It was a picture of me. It had my
Wow.
birth. It had the wrong birthday and year, and it had that I was deceased. And I was like, this is my whole picture. So I ended up having to Google. I ended up having to contact Google and tell them to take that down because it was misinformation. So if it's going to do that with my whole picture, my whole face, and my whole
Hmm.
this about me being deceased, what else misinformation are they putting out there? And so that's one of the dangers of using
Yeah.
one of those artificial intelligence things because it is being fed information. And so Ben is being fed information. Sometimes that information is incorrect.
Hmm. I see a question. Hi, Lavelia Williams. She wants to know, are they humans or robots? And is it free? Yeah, there are some free versions, but I'll let you answer the other part of that question.
Yeah, there are some free versions, but most of the time the human versions you're not going to receive because again that's you're paying for that live person. And so if
Hmm.
you could pay for a live person, you might as well pay for the consultant, you might as well pay for the therapist, you might as well pay for the professional. And so it's always great to be able to get a discount or the hookup, if I could say that. But
Hmm.
sometimes you have to pay for those things that you want. My mother always told me there are certain things you ought to pay premium price for,
Yeah.
and I think therapy and good medical care, health care, and toilet paper are those things you should pay good money for.
Agreed.
So, but again, those are things that you want to make sure that you're getting the best quality care for because again, you don't want to just trust anyone with your medical care. And most of the time, people always think that there is a misnomer that you can um, kind of budget down on your
Hmm.
mental health. You would want to budget down on a root canal. You wouldn't want to budget down on if you need to have a doctor to do you open heart surgery. You
Right.
wouldn't want to budget down for any of those things. But
Hmm.
your mental health is just as important to be able to to buy into and to be able to afford is make sure that you can afford that. And I
Mhm.
think that a lot of times people don't think that there are free options that are out there, even for counseling and therapy, and there are.
Absolutely. Let's see. Yes, Rhonda Leonard says yes. You have to verify stuff when you were talking about where it said you were dead. I didn't see that on Google.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I was like, wait a minute. I'm a whole day. I had to take a screenshot of it so people wouldn't think that I was telling an untruth. But yeah, it said I was dead, but I'm alive and well.
Good, and we're glad. We're glad. Lavelia says that she's a senior citizen, and this whole all of it's scary. Yeah, it really is. And I don't know if you guys have seen in the news, just even over the course of the past couple weeks, where there's stories of teens going to ChatGPT, and then it ends very tragically because of the advice that they got off of this AI app. So obviously that is one of the biggest risks. But what do you say to the parents that are watching, knowing their teen has access to something like this?
Use it with caution,
Mhm.
not just the AI tools, but just the internet, just in general. Because although it is helpful, everything can be perverted. Everything can be
Yeah.
subject to perversion and really danger. Because the internet is a great place to be able to look up information. The internet's a great place to be able to be entertained, but given given to the wrong people and used for the wrong reasons, it can be
Mhm.
dangerous. You have pedophiles that are out there. You have people who are taking advantage of people. Just even in recently, I saw a store where people were going into chat rooms for people who are gamers and
Mhm.
soliciting for that sort of thing in there. And I think AI is just the same. I was reading
Yeah.
about the story that you were mentioning
Mhm.
about the young man who unalived himself and how um, the family is taking open AI into a lawsuit because they felt like that open AI created an awful platform for him to not only unalive himself, but gave him the process on how to be able to do it
Yeah.
and the methods to be able to do it, which is, very sad, but it's also very
Right.
scary at the same time. And so, as a parent, you need to be able to make sure you know what your child is doing. And yes, even if they're trying to plagiarize that paper that they know they have to turn in for English class or for some other class, but also for those dangers that you just never know. So check
Yeah.
those histories. If you don't check those histories, if you don't go back and look at those cachet things, those are going to be the very things that may you may miss, and it could end tragically.
Absolutely. So, what are some of the other risks while we're talking about it that with people trying to replace therapy with AI? Because I'm just thinking as we're talking, I'm thinking about even just not even necessarily just these types of apps, but other apps where, I just saw on I think it was Facebook where someone was looking for wanting to do some just headshots, and people were saying, "Don't you put your picture in there."
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of times we look for that quick fix. We are a microwave generation, microwaves, um, air fryer generation now.
Mhm,
So we want everything quickly. We want to be able to do it. The fact that you can upload your picture and have a whole photo shoot
mhm.
just from your house is phenomenal. But what are you
Yeah,
risking? What are you
yeah.
risking in that? Are you giving that company license to be able to use your photo? Are you giving that company the permission to be able to use your likeness at some other time? It may not be now, it may be in another lifetime.
Mhm.
What are you opening yourself up to whenever you say yes to that? And so those are the dangers of being involved in things like that. One of the other areas that people have fallen prey to, and there have been shows, there have been podcasts that talk about, the dating scene. If you're
Yeah,
single and you are looking for a mate or you're looking for someone to spend time with, you're going to most of the time you will go to those apps and you will go to those dating apps to be able to find someone, but you never know if that person is telling you the truth. That's all. It was a whole show called Catfish. I think it might
yeah,
still be on, but it's a whole show that was entitled Catfish, to be able to find or um, spoof out people who were not telling themselves, who were not being honest, in order to be able to find a mate, and they were just making things up. And
yeah,
so they would go around and find out people, and they were just having these whole made up lives. This is not Mr. Rogers. This is not the land of make believe.
hmm
This is real.
yeah.
real life.
Yeah. I mean, even now, if and on any platform, they're spoofing celebrities.
Hmm.
I just saw, I think it was Ralph Tresvant was like, "Who is this?" Because this is not me. It was like a whole page, and the person had 11,000 followers. He was like, "Who is this?"
And it's so crazy how advanced technology is that
Yeah.
you have to be able to safeguard yourself to make sure that someone's not making a copy of you,
Right.
because
Yeah.
there's a whole group of individuals out there who are looking to simply make a copy of you to be able to take advantage of you, take advantage of loved ones.
Hmm.
One of the weird things I remember is when the great James Earl Jones passed away, he gave, I think, Disney or someone the rights to use his voice for future movies, so Mufasa will always live. And
Yeah.
to be able to use that, to be able to use that in perpetuity,
Hmm.
that's amazing to know that that type of technology is out there. But what else is it being used for? We've all seen on local news and national news how people are in imitating, they're creating voices of family members and asking people for money. And so you
Hmm.
have to be very, very sure that that's exactly who you are, because there's that technology has gotten so sophisticated that it sounds just like that person,
Hmm.
sounds just like that person, or they mimic the writing style, or mimic the face, or they mimic this. And so there are those individuals out there, I call them pirates, that are out there that are trying to take advantage of individuals who are unassuming.
Yeah. Lynette McCall, I'm with you. She says these are reasons not to trust online dating. I'm with you.
I'm not saying you don't trust
Nope.
online dating. Just keep one eye open. Just keep one eye open. You The reason why I say that is because I know that there are some individuals who I know personally who met on online dating and are married. So Lynette, is some people out there. Just do
We'll take,
just do your
we'll
due diligence. Do that background check.
Okay, okay. So, ChatGPT and these others, I'm just going to say these other all the artificial intelligence apps can sometimes make people feel like they're being heard, right? You
Mhm.
just want to be heard, especially if you're upset, you're wanting to vent, and you're like you said, it's the middle of the night. Who else can I talk to? So, but what's missing compared to venting in a real counseling session?
Intimacy. You're missing the intimacy. There are certain things that you miss in translation whenever you're not talking to a real person. So
Hmm.
there's something that I'm missing, even though you and I can see each other on this platform. There's something that's missing because we're not face to face. But then there's also something that's missing when you don't have a face at all.
Right.
So what is missing? You're missing that vulnerability. You're missing cues. You're not, that person's that AI tool is not being able to discern how your body language is, or if they don't know any of your background information because you're feeding it information, but it's going on theories, it's going on research, it's going on methods, but it's not going on heart, it's not going on emotion, it's not going on anything that is pertinent to you. And those
Mhm.
are the things that you need in order to be able to create a good diagnosis. And most of the time, whenever people are putting information into those AI systems, they're not putting an emotion, they're looking for results. And so it's going to give you the result. But being that it's going to give you the result, it may not necessarily be the result that you want, because it's not a living, breathing person. It can't see that you're crying. It doesn't know that you've been in your room all night long.
Yeah.
It doesn't know that, but it's feeding you information, it's feeding you results. But what you want, you need a person who is able to walk with you through your journey, not just spit out information.
So someone messaged me this earlier when they saw the promo for the show. They said it was built ChatGPT was built to be affirming.
Mm.
And I was like, really now? What are your thoughts on that?
I wouldn't necessarily say it's built to be affirming. I would say that it's built to give you what you've asked it for. Sometimes it's
Yeah.
affirming and sometimes it's not. But most of the time it is positive for your benefit. Because
Mhm.
if it always gave you negative responses, would you always go back to that? No.
Nope.
So it's going to give you something that's going to appeal to you. We all know people, I'm not going to call anybody out, but we
Mhm.
all know people who use it as a daily part of their lives. They
Mhm.
can't write emails without it. They can't write letters without it. They can't live throughout the day without asking it something,
Mhm.
whether they are checking, proofreading something, or whether they are saying, how do I say this or how do I say that? They
Right.
need it. And so it's feeding them the result that they want. And so sometimes it's great to be able to have that sense of confidence, but how
Mhm.
confident are you in your ability if that platform goes away?
Ooh. I think that right there, as I'm thinking about people, that they how they rely on it for literally everything. Just say work, for instance, relying on it for anything written, anything spoken, and it's like, how are you doing this for 8 hours? Like relying on this, and then it's like then you ask them a question, and then it's an attitude because it's probably like, I can't answer you. Hold on a minute.
Right. It is so true. But one of the things that I saw that I really, really love is almost kind of like you don't put your trust in a stethoscope, you put your trust in the doctor who's able to use the stethoscope.
Mm, that's a good
And
one.
so being that you need to be able, you're not going to put all your hope, all you should not put all your hope, all your dreams, all your this, all your that into one specific thing, whether it's semi intelligent or not. You
Hmm.
need to be able to rely on a real person who's going to give you real feedback. And sometimes the feedback that you may not necessarily want to be able to hear. And
Hmm.
I think that's what is lost in translation. You miss the empathy, but you're also missing the heart. And so you have to make sure that you are being in a place where you can be able to talk with someone and they're going to give you the feedback that you need, not necessarily the feedback that you want.
Absolutely. And you guys in the chat, if y'all are the co-host. I forgot to say that at the top of the show, but y'all are the co-host. So make sure if you have any questions, drop it in the chat. I do see some comments here. Rhonda Leonard says it's missing interpersonal relationships. Absolutely. Hey, Linda Young from Gastonia. She says she's watching. Hey,
Hey,
Asheville, I
Linda.
see you. So, yeah. So, how can relying on these apps create some other, so for example, a lot of people go to therapy to learn some healthy coping habits.
Mhm.
So if I'm going to ChatGPT, Gemini, or one of the others we've mentioned, what unhealthy coping habits am I going to learn? And what might prevent me from going to seek help from the therapist over here?
Well, one of the things is most people go because you can do it anonymously. No
Hmm.
one knows that you're doing it, but you and that engine and whoever's running that search engine thing that
Right.
you're utilizing. No one knows that you're using it. So you have a level of anonymity that is present. Again, we already talked about it previously. We talked about the low cost value
Yeah.
of it. It's most of the time it's free unless you are upgrading it and getting the larger package. But most of the time, most people they just use the free versions because there's so many versions that are out there.
Hmm.
And then it's after you use it for a while, it's customized kind of to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
But it's customized to you because you fed it that information. It's learning your style. Again, it's learning you. But that's because that's the information that you fed it. Now,
Hmm.
the thing that most people fail to remember is it is a human tool. And so being it is a human tool is run by machines and run by technology. But one of the things that people totally forget is not HIPAA compliant.
Oh,
It's not HIPAA compliant. And being that it's not HIPAA compliant, it can share your information with someone else without your permission. So if you're looking up how to be able to um, get yourself off of drugs, if you're looking how to be able to stop depression, if you're looking up how to find a suicide note or write a suicide note or this, that, and the other, all those things are in there. With the lawsuit that is pending right now, they were able to find it because there was what? A search history.
mm-hmm.
There was a search history there. And so when you see a therapist or you see a counselor or whomever that you may be seeing, they are going to have a log of that, and they are court mandated to be able to share those dangerous times that you are not feeling your ultimate self. And so those are the things that you miss in translation. But also there, a person is going to be able to understand if you need additional support. If
Hmm.
you need additional support, if you log into ChatGPT or one of the other items, they're not going to know. They're not going to know that you need to be prescribed meds. They're not going to know that you need to be able to do this, or they're not going to know that you need to go outside and have some other type of therapy. It's not
Hmm.
going to tell you that. It's only going to tell you what it needs to be able to tell you based off of information and based off of theory. It can't see, it can't talk, it can't do any of those other things. Although we may want it to,
Yeah.
there's a danger in relying on something that is an inanimate object.
Now, for those who really are like, I don't have insurance, I can't afford going to therapy, like, there is absolutely no way I can go to therapy. So, are
Mhm.
there any like limited ways that like one of these apps might be a helpful starting point?
I wouldn't say the apps are or a healthy starting point. I would say that they are good tools to be able to find that information. So there are organizations out there who have free therapy. You can go and get free counseling sessions, free therapy sessions. Sometimes that is telehealth, like what we're doing now, where
Mhm.
you and I are talking, and so you're able to get a live person, and you're able to talk with someone, and they can see and they can experience you at that moment. But sometimes they are also there to give you information that you're going to be able to need to know. Oh, we have free 8 free sessions or 10 free sessions with a live person or a telehealth person. And so I think people need to be able to understand there is help out there. There's always going to be assistance out there, whether you know it or not. It's just a matter of being able to do the research. Do the
Mhm.
research that you need to be able to do, not necessarily through, not necessarily for AI, but through AI to be able to get the tools that you need to survive. And I think that that's one of the things that people have is not it's not replacement. It's a tool to get you to where you have to go, not something to replace something else.
Oh, I think that's big because I think sometimes people don't realize there are free options out there to that or and organizations that offer some free therapy. And I'm even thinking about like through your employer, I can't think what is it called, the employee assistance
Yeah,
program. You can
EAP.
call and talk to someone. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah. So
you have things like EAP, and sometimes people they don't want to go through EAP because they figure, oh, they're going to track it. They're going to know that I went, and
mhm.
so that's where you have those organizations. You also have um, corporations that will allow you to be able to go outside of the network or allow you to be able to go to an organization to be able to assist you with that. People like NAMI, people like Mental Health America, and there's so many others that are out there to be able to give you that support, and they're able to give it to you anonymously, so it's not necessarily tracked back to your employer. Because I think a lot of times people are afraid that, oh, if they find out that something is going on with me, that might affect my job.
Mhm.
No, they're not supposed to tell anything because it's a HIPAA violation. But you need to be able to let go of your idiosyncrasy or even your idiosyncrasy and do what you have. I know that's my word. Do what you have to do in order to be able to get yourself to wellness. Because that's the ultimate goal. Getting yourself to wellness is the thing. AI is a tool, it is not a therapist.
I was talking to someone, this was probably about a year ago, I think, and I was telling them, I was going through grief, and they said, "Oh," and I said, I do have a grief counselor. I go to a grief group. I was like, I'm attacking my crazy all all around, right? I got a therapist. I got it all bases covered. And
Mhm.
so they were like, "Why are you doing all that when you could just ask ChatGPT how to move through grief?"
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that was interesting. I mean, I did type it in there because I was curious as to what
Hmm.
I'm a journalist. So type it in there, see what it says. And while, yeah, it could have totally, I did an article on grief. It could have been pulling from that. It could have been pulling from many articles. So, it didn't help really. It just gave me information I already knew.
So did it provide you with tools? I'm curious.
It did give me, I think it said like, meditation or which is the same stuff my the group that I was going to at that time, what they suggested, and the grief counselor. And it was like deep breathing, or it was, I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was some of the similar things. But then
Mm.
I thought, well, I wrote an article on that, so he could have pulled it, pulled that from there. I didn't ask it to cite its sources, but you know what I mean? So it's interesting that now people will just say, just go to ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever, and get help from there instead.
The crazy thing about that is, and I'm not knocking anyone, I'm just telling you to be cautious. And here's an example. Before ChatGPT came out, there was this thing that we all used to use, and many of us still use it now. It's called WebMD. WebMD would we would go to WebMD, put in our little symptoms, and we would come back and we would say, "Oh, I got this." You don't have that. You don't have that at all. And so you got yourself in a full frenzy. You got yourself in an anxiety attack, a panic attack, because you self-diagnosed yourself with something.
Right.
Only for you to go to your doctor, and your doctor was like, that is not what you have. So, although WebMD is good for information, is not giving you the entire picture. We have your entire medical record. We have tests and other things to be able to help diagnose what your real
Yeah.
ailment is. And so, being that we can figure out what your real ailment is, don't rely on it.
Hmm.
Same thing with ChatGPT and some of those AI tools. Is great for information, but don't rely on it. It's great to be able to have a second set of eyes, but don't rely on it. WebMD says, oh, you're going to need to have surgery. You're not going to go out and go to Walgreens or somewhere like that and get all the materials and do the surgery at home. You're not going to do that. That sounds crazy.
Hmm.
Same thing with your mental health. You don't want to be able to have that type of power to take control of your own mental health, especially if you're having a mental health emergency.
It just made me think of when you brought up WebMD. There's a dermatology app. Now, it was late at night, and I was like, "Oh God,
Uh-oh.
something's
Uh-oh.
on my leg, and it's spreading." It's like, and it was red, and it was bright. And Lynette knows. I sent the text to her, and I was like, "I don't know what this is." So Googling like dermatology things, and then it popped up, and so I was like, well, let me just take this picture of my calf and send it in there, and what it told me was like so ridiculous. And then I went to the doctor the next day. She's like, girl, that's a mosquito bite.
Right. Exactly. And so that's the same reason I feel that
Yeah.
you and we and so many others, we have to rely on experts.
Hmm.
We have to rely on experts. As a therapist, I have a therapist because I can't self-diagnose myself. I have to be able to go to a therapist to work out my own idiosyncrasies. And so exactly what you have to do. But that therapist is going to be able to hold space for you. That person's going to be able to hold space for your pain. That person's going to be able to hold space for the things that they already know about or the things that they don't.
Yeah.
AI tool is not going to be able to hold space for you. It's just going to regurgitate information. It's going to give you facts. It's going to give you stats. It's going to give you this. It's going to give you that. And so it's not going to give you exactly what you need. It's not going to give you what a human person is going to be able to provide.
Hmm. Y'all in the chat, we got about 10 minutes. So if you have any questions, drop it in the chat. Now, you fuse counseling with faith. So, how does spirituality add another layer of care that technology can't even touch?
Oh, wow. Thank you for bringing that up. Absolutely. I think that therapy is dual. If you are a person of faith, I am a Christian, but I think that there is a way that spirituality and psychology can work really, really well together. It's in tandem because faith is believing in something that you don't yet see. And so that is also where you have the whole dichotomy with mental health. You're believing in something that you cannot see. Sometimes it's fear, sometimes it's anxiety, sometimes it's this, sometimes it's that. And so being able to harness those two items together to bring
Mhm.
about a whole wellness, because some people, they can understand a theory. They may understand Freud, they may understand Jung, they may understand Skinner, they may understand Dr. Phil. But then
Mhm.
there are other people, they understand Jesus. that
Mm.
all things do work together for the good of those who love God and are called according to his purpose. They understand that this too shall pass. They understand that Jesus is the person who died for their sins, and on the third day he rose again from the dead with all power in his hands. They understand that. And so that's the traditions that we normally have passed down, especially in the African American tradition. We pass those things down. So that's what those people know.
Hmm.
But the other danger of that, and I tell people all the time whenever they are my client, the Holy Spirit is an advocate who works through people. He works through people. He works through doctors. He works through nurses. He works through therapists. He works through psychologists. He works through social workers. He works even through prescribed drugs. Prescribed, not self prescribed, but prescribed
Yeah.
in order to be able to bring about that whole idea of wellness. He says that he wants you to not only have life, but he wants you to be able to have it more abundantly. And having abundant life is really what living life is all about.
Hmm.
No, this is not necessarily a sermon, but it's one of those things that you want to be able to know that you're living your best life. And there are tools to help you live your best life if you are a person of faith, regardless of what your faith is. There are tools that coincide or come alongside or help to anchor your spirituality, but also in psychology and therapy.
Thank you for saying that, because I know I've mentioned this before on the show about how sometimes black folks they don't want to go to therapy because it is just I can talk to Jesus. That's all I need. I don't need to talk to somebody else. And then secretly they're talking to ChatGPT.
Right. I mean, people, they do. I mean, people, they do have a strong, especially African Americans, we have a strong view or high view of spirituality. And if there's something wrong, that means your faith is not strong enough, or that means that you haven't prayed hard enough, or you haven't given it over to Jesus, you haven't given it over to God, or you're just not praying hard enough.
Yeah.
But then that's a false number. You have to know that the Holy Spirit is there with you, but He's also using other things to be able to support you in your journey to wellness. And so I want to be able to assist all of those who want to be able to have support with me and through me. But I also know that there's going to be something that is within me that's also going to be able to help you, and that's going to be the Holy Spirit.
So what is your biggest takeaway from our conversation tonight that you want people in the chat and those that are going to watch this later, for anybody that's watching that thinks that AI can replace the value of real live in person or telehealth therapy, what would you say to them?
Don't believe the hype. Don't believe the hype. I'm a child of the 80s, and so don't believe the hype, because there's, although it is going to be able to supply you with information, it doesn't know anything about you. And being that it doesn't know anything about you, don't really, why would you even want to put your faith or even your mental or physical faith into someone who doesn't know anything about you and to give you a diagnosis? That is dangerous, but it's also scary. And so, yeah, there are things that we can use it for, but within the right safeguards, within the right boundaries, those tools are wonderful. But again, if they're used as silos, as the only thing, no.
Mhm.
We, again, going back to the examples of WebMD and stethoscopes and that sort of thing, those things are tools. They're not going to be there for you to be able to give you exactly what you need. There's something about that interpersonal communication. There's something about being able to know that that person knows you, feels you, and can feel your pain,
Mhm.
and to be able to know that that person is holding space for you to be able to help you along your journey. Although that person can't be with you 24 hours, 7 days a week, that person is going to be able to help you along your journey as much as they can, with you doing the work. It's a matter of being able to do the work in concert with the therapist, in concert with the tools that they help you with. ChatGPT and some of the other AI search engines, they're not doing the work. They're not holding space for you. They're
Yeah.
not doing anything for you. They are perpetuating stigmas. They are perpetuating information that they've heard. And again, if you look it up in the news, there are situations that have happened
Hmm.
that have been dangerous and even deadly. And so, if there's anything, don't rely on technology completely. Rely on expert opinion. Those people who have been trained, those people who know how to be able to get you to the place where you can feel wellness. Now, some people want those quick fixes.
Yeah.
Anything that comes quick is not always easy. Now I want to be able to win the lottery. If I win that $1 billion, that's going to help quick. But
Right.
that is not going to give you exactly what you need to be able to need for entire life wellness. And it's a journey.
Hmm.
Some people want to embark on that journey and they want to be able to know that they're going along and that they're doing well. Some people don't. Therapy is not for the faint of heart, but if you're willing to stick it out, if you're willing to do exactly what you need, you're going to get what you truly deserve. Not an answer, but you're going to get the support. And I
Hmm.
think that's the thing that people need to understand. AI tools are not going to give you support. They're not going to hold space for you.
Yeah.
It's going to give you responses, and responses aren't what you need. You need someone who's going to be there for you, to listen to you, and hold that space for you and be like, come on, Shameika, let's go.
Now, my chat GPT has said I'll hold space for you now. No, I'm just kidding. But that is a great, that is, I love how you kind of summarized everything that we've talked about today. So I do have to ask this final question,
Sure.
but I think you kind of answered it before we started the show. I want to see if the answer's still the same though.
Okay.
What feeds your soul?
Ah, there are a
Don't,
number of things that feed my soul.
okay.
My soul is very complex. Music feeds my soul. Faith feeds my soul. A good meal feeds my soul. Travel feeds my soul. All those things most of the time are very expensive. But when I can't, there's always God. I'm able to I'm able to talk, I'm able to read, I'm able to just be silent,
Hmm.
knowing that there's a certain peace that surpasses all understanding that's going to give me the solace that I need. And I just pray that most people are able to understand that, because I think there are a lot of times when people, because we live in that microwave air fryer generation, that we want it quickly, that they're going to miss it. But
Yeah.
if they really take the time to invest in themselves, they're going to get exactly what they need, how they need it, and when they need it.
Hmm.
But I think that most people need to be able to understand it's a journey worth taking.
You fooled me because I thought you were going to say something else, but
What do you
I
think I
love
was
this
going to say?
answer. I was like, now wait a minute, this ain't where I thought it was going. But
What do you think I was going to say?
I thought you were just going to say like marketing and PR and now therapy.
Well, all those things do that, but sometimes I need my soul fed too.
Okay,
A
okay.
good meal, a good song, a good trip, all those things are awesome. I need my that's how I feed my soul. So yeah,
And those are amazing ways too. I really love your answer.
I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna feed my soul next.
Well, John, thank you so much for coming on Celebration tonight. I know I had to move the schedule a couple times, but I'm so glad that we could get it together and sit down and chat about such an important topic, especially with it being in the news right now. I think this was something that a lot of people needed to hear. They needed to understand the dangers that aren't maybe talked about all the time. So thank you again. Let everybody know where they can find you.
You can find me. I am John Burton Jr. at A Talk with John, counseling and consulting. That is www.atalkwithjohn.com. But you could also just kind of find me on the socials. I'm there. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I'm on TikTok. I'm on all the things. So you can find me there. But I would be remiss if I did not do my justice, because September is Suicide Prevention Month. And
Yes.
so I want to be able to let anyone know, if you're struggling, if you are just having a rough time, know that there's support out there. You don't have to necessarily contact me. There's a free number that you can call. That number is 988. It's a suicide and crisis lifeline. Call
Mhm.
that number. Get the support that you need. Don't chat GBT it or any of those other things because it's going to give you the wrong thing. But on the other line is going to be someone that's going to give you the support, is going to help walk you through it, and it's going to be able to be there for you, not like a chat GBT and not like any of the AI systems that are out there. So again, September is Suicide Prevention Month. And so we want everyone out there,
Mhm.
celebration, friends and family, to be whole, to be happy, and to be well.
You know what? You did that. Thank you. Thank you. I couldn't have said that better myself. Thank you. Thank you. I see a lot of people in the chat saying very well said, great information. So thank you for that.
No, thank you. Hey, anytime you need a mental health person, a mental health therapist, contact me. I'll be here for the Celebration crew and everybody else.
We would love to have you back. Y'all, like he said, keep that number close by just in case you or someone you know may need it. And for more information on mental health and all the things we've talked about today, you can head over to blackdoctor.org. There's articles and resources there. But next week, y'all, coming up on Celebration, we're going to talk about something that we all deal with, aging.
Mm.
But how does it affect our teeth? Have y'all thought about that? So, dentist Dr. Kim Anderson, she is back to talk about the effects of aging on our dental health. And yes, we're even going to talk about the hormonal changes that women of a certain age go through, like menopause, and how it plays a part as far as estrogen goes with our dental health. So, make sure you come back next Wednesday, 7 o'clock. I will see you then. Thank you, John. Thank you, co hosts. I hope you all have a soul filled rest of the week.
You do the same. Thank you very much. Hey, good people, have a wonderful week.
Thank you.